Hello and welcome to Makula. My name is Sheroz, and today we're going to walk you through how you can configure or set up service reports, or procedures as we call them in Makula. You can set up these templates in your procedures section so that your technicians can simply attach them to a work order, create an instance, and start filling them out. To create a procedure template, click Create Procedures, give it a name, a little description if you'd like, and you can either mark it as internal or leave it external. Marking a procedure template as internal means every time your engineers attach this procedure to a work order, whether it's an internal work order or an external work order, your customers will never be able to see these procedures. For this example, we will let it be an external procedure. Once you click Create, you enter the wizard, click Edit Fields, and now you can start adding fields into the procedure. Let's say we start with a simple member field as an example. And here we're going to say engineer responsible for this service result, right? And then what your engineers will see is a simple drop-down field, which will be a list of all your internal users in the Makula environment. And then, of course, they'll be able to select themselves. Now, with each field that you add to the template, you can define whether it's a required field or an optional field. If it's a required field, then this procedure cannot be finalized when an engineer is working on it. It cannot be finalized without filling these required fields out. Let's say this is a required field, and then we want to add another field. Let's say this is a date field as an example, date of service. Now again, what this translates to when the engineer is filling it out is a simple drop down again, which shows a calendar that the procedure that the engineer can select a date from. Again, let's say this is a required field. Let's add another field. And let's say this field is now file upload, and maybe we're asking the engineer to snap an image of the machine as soon as they arrived on site. Our condition of the asset when you arrive on site. We'll leave this optional, but what this allows the engineer to do is snap an image from their mobile app and attach it to this procedure. Now, for each of these fields, you can also add a description. Let's say you wanted to share some additional information with your engineer. You could say, snap 3 pictures, snap 3 pictures of the asset showing a full 360 view, as an example, right? What you can also do is you can add attachments so that if this was certain work that the engineer needed more context for, which was there in a document, then you could add that as an attachment. You can then go in and add another field. Now, let's say this was a simple checklist of items that the engineer needed to carry out. And let's say this is the maintenance checklist. And in the description, we're writing, check each item that you are covering during this task, right? And then you can just go in and start adding options for the engineer to check. Safety guards, as an example, add another option. Lubricate the motor, check sensors, just as an example, right? And then again, this is a required field. Now, once you've added all your fields here, and of course, there are many different types of fields that you can add. So you've got text, you've got number fields, which will allow them to enter a number, date fields and file uploads we've seen, tables, if there's, certain checks that they need to do and you want a yes or no and maybe a comment. Checklists, as we just saw, checkboxes, also similar to checklists, lists that let you select one option from a list, drop downs, similar to the member field, but also other scenarios because you've got a dedicated field for members. Parts, if you want your engineer to, mention any parts or mention any parts either, for example, for the next time this machine will be due for service or parts that were replaced during this service. Any sub-assets. Now, every time you create a procedure and your technicians are filling the procedure out, when they attach it to a work order, it inherits the machine on the work order. So this sub-asset dropdown would then show you a list of sub-assets for the machine on the procedure. And then, of course, time tracking. Now, while you can still track time on the work order directly, some people like to track time on the procedure so that when they get the end customer to sign off, the customer is signing off on the time that's been tracked as well. Now, once you're done with all of this, let's say we're getting rid of this field, we can say, all right, signatures required, include signature. One will just be technician, which is the technician from our side. And let's say the other one is the customer's site supervisor, as an example. Now, as I do this, it is now mandatory to get signatures when this procedure is being filled out. Otherwise, the procedure can't be finalized. Now, let's say you've set the whole thing up and you want to see what it looks like. You can click this eye icon to preview what the procedure looks like. So this is your heading. These are your different fields. You've got an image field, your checklist, and then your signatures. You can save it at this point. And what you can also do while setting these templates up is you can go to details. You can add a header or a footer specifically for this procedure template. Now you can also do that in your settings to have just one header and one footer configured for all your procedure templates. But say you wanted to have a slightly different one configured for this procedure, you could just upload an image in the header item and one in the footer item. But also if you leave this blank and simply configure a default header and footer from your settings section, then it will just apply to all your procedures. Now, what you can also do is each procedure comes with a little header item, which includes your procedure ID, your company name, meaning your customer's name, company address, asset ID, asset name, work order ID, work order title, and work order creation date. In addition to this, you can also add your work order or asset custom fields. If you wanted to show any of these at the top of your procedure, you would just check these and they would fetch values for these custom fields on the respective asset or the respective work order that this procedure would then be attached to. Now, what you can also do is, of course, you can remove any of these header items. You can say, all right, hide these fields. I don't want to show the work order title, the work order ID, maybe not the asset name, but yeah, maybe we keep the asset ID. And maybe when I do finalize this and download a PDF report of this, I don't want it to say asset ID. Maybe we use machine ID, and that's what I want it to display. Company address, maybe we'll change this, and then we'll call this not the company name, but the customer name as an example. Once I've set all this up, this procedure is ready to go, and my engineers can simply attach it to a work order and fill it out. That's all for the video. If you're looking for help on other items, feel free to check out other videos. Thank you.